الكريم يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة وإنها لكبيرة إلا على الخاشعين الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو ربهم وأنهم إليه راجعون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. For the honor of Hazrat Fatima, Salamullah alayha, the master of the woman of the universe, and the mother of her father, Abiha, recited salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If you recall, last week, because it was a 40th and commemoration for a marhum, our topic was a bit different. But the week before that, we were talking about a subject that I think is helpful and beneficial to all of us. And that was, I think we called it a Fatimi family. What kind of family is a family that has a resemblance of the life of Ahlul Bayt, especially Fatima Zahra Salamullah alayha. And that is a life we actually admire, right? That's a life, every one of us who read about Imam Ali alayhi salam, about Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Hazrat Zainab, Kulthum, and Fatima Zahra. This family, it's a unique family, it's in own sense. That not only the parents are examples, leaders, they are pioneers in their own way, but even the children are also, they're following the footsteps of their parents as well. What was unique about this family, there are lessons that we can learn from that, and that would be, I think, one good way to look at it. When we read history, it is always important to ask ourselves, the benefit of reading history is, how can I take advantage of this lesson? What's the point of this story for me? That's pragmatism that we have to seek on a daily basis. And that was what Imam Ali actually said about tarikh, about history, right? And the benefit of reading and studying history is that you become a member of that society, a member of that time period, that you live with them. As Imam Ali himself said, that my son Hassan, I read and I know about the people of the past, that I can, consider myself as somebody, I lived with them. I observed all the incident. And even Quran says the same thing, right? It said, go travel, right? Siru fil ard. One of the benefits of travel is فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الْمُكَذِّبِينَ. See what happened to the people who denied God, those who disobeyed and rebelled against God. What happened to them? So that's Siru fil ard. It's a lesson. When we go to Karbala, when you go to Ziyarah, when you go to the holy sites that we have, this is also following a verse of Quran as well as the hadith and tradition we have about importance of visiting them. But his ayah, Siru fil ard, fanduru kayfa kana aqibatul mukaththibin, that those deniers and those who rebel against the Prophet's grandson and against the religion of Islam, where they are today, and those martyrs who actually stood by their values, they sacrificed their life for the greater good, where they are now. What is the position of them, and what is the position of those who opposed God? So the same thing is about the life of Hazrat Fatima. When we read the life and stories of Hazrat Fatima, Salamullah alayha, yes, we live in a different time. And I've noticed there's, for the last few decades, there's been this approach of traditionalism is being mocked, being considered a threat, unpractical. Your tradition is past. You try to live a life in 21st century with looking back at the life of somebody who lived 1400 years ago. How is that even possible? There's a lot of those, even within Muslim community, by the way, especially even in the last few decades, there was this criticism regarding tradition. Put aside tradition. We need a religion for the 21st century, right? It's a bold headline you see all the time. And when you say that, you actually get applause as well, right? You need a religion for 21st century. When in reality, the point of that religion, the same reason still in 21st century you have history, right? Still you talk about First World, World War I, II, you talk about all, even the Roman history, you talk about the Greek history, you know all about that, right? And nobody said, oh, put it aside, because there's wisdom in that. Same thing is applied to the stories of the life of people such as Fatima Zahra Salamullah alayha, because there is wisdom in those stories. But I agree that some individuals, they're unfortunately, they're obsessed with details of the past, that they don't understand the whole point of that story is to get relevance and application for today. That some people are really involved in that. We see in some interpretation of Islam, Salafi, right? The Salaf, the people of the past, tradition of the past. Even when it comes to the type of, pants and how short it should be, they follow that tradition. Very detailed. That it should be that detailed. When in reality, those details are the surface to lead to something bigger. Still, we need rituals. We cannot deny rituals. We can, it's like example I give you. If somebody study, in the university and they know human biology, they studied kinesiology, they know all the details, right? Can they say, you don't need to go to the gym, you don't need to lift weights anymore, you don't need to do cardio? Can they say it because they studied human biology, because they know all the details about how actually did building muscles or losing calories and all that works? Can they say you don't need to go to the gym again? No. Still, you need the process. Doesn't matter how intellectually we talk about salat. Let's know the philosophy of connecting with God. Let's know the philosophy and the reason why we go to Hajj. Let's know the philosophy of charity and zakat. But still, we have to do them. We cannot just stick to that level. Let's talk about the philosophy and that's it. I'm not going to do it myself. I'm going to be busy, doing something more modern. No, still you have to do it and do that ritual and practices. But in addition to that, to know what is the benefit of that ritual in the modern day life that I live in. What's the point of that? How that helps me mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually in my life today. But still I have to stick to the practice. And that's something important. So the stories we have to, don't stick to details. Right? People said the door of Hazrat Fatima Zahra's house was made out of wood, or wasn't made out of metal, or what's the point? Yeah, if we say the narration about the fire, said that's, if your job is to pay attention to those details, that's fine. You're a researcher, you try to dig into the details, that's fine. But for our daily stories and daily lessons that we try to understand, that's not the point. And our brain, by the way, I promise you, is something that is not made to be focused. We are creatures of, distractions. We easily get distracted. And it goes to our survival skills, right? Because imagine animals, part of our existence, we are haywan, right? We are animals. If you like it or not, we are a species of animal in our own way, that we're more intelligent, we have our own, is minding their own business. But after a few seconds, see that they look around, right? They get distracted. Why? Because something is happening. They're made to be, have that awareness in order to protect themselves. Survival, right? And we are the same creature. We need to be that aware of our surrounding. That's the reason we get distracted easily, and noise is made there. Oh, what happened? Based on the survival instinct, we want to figure out what's happening, then go back. So we are a very distracted creature. We have to practice focus. We have to practice concentration. It's something that we have to create by habits. And based on that, it is important when we hear stories, focus on the point, on the lesson. Don't get distracted. Because again, if you let us and our mind to roam around and be distracted, we will be, I promise you. You being, so focused on one thing and try to understand the purpose. And I ask you before and I ask you again, at the end of every speech, ask yourself, what was the point? From the entire lecture, what did I gain? If you don't take notes, at least ask that question. That I, sat down for 40 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever is the length of the speech. What was the point? The whole thing tried to say something, right? Was it about family? Was it about taqwa? What was the topic? What was the main theme? And that is make it easier to recall, to think of it, to remember it. We have to categorize it. So the stories of the life of Fatima Zahra has the same point. So the theme of this is a continuation of the same topic. How to create a Fatimi family. A family that has a resemblance of that life. A life that has peace, have happiness, have moment of joy. If you read the stories, you see that Hazrat Fatima and Imam Ali alayhi salam, as a couple, they're a very happy couple. They're so in love with each other that when Fatima Zahra was buried by Imam Ali alayhi salam, there are words that being uttered and said by Imam Ali alayhi salam that breaks the heart of every decent human being. That now that I lost Fatima, who I have in this dunya, of course he has Allah. Of course he trusts in Allah. Of course he understands that the death is not end, but still there's somebody that he loved in this dunya, a partner, somebody was a companion. And in their life you see that they have jokes, their humor. It's not that they say Imam Ali and Fatima Zahra all the time. There was, philosophical and probably finding a solution for people's problem. No, it was a moment of joy. We have one tradition that they went outside the city. Actually, they went for a picnic, if you call it the modern day picnic. They went to outside the city. They were having a meal together. And this has been narrated. This is a tradition. That they start joking about a simple topic that Hazrat Fatima said, my dad loves me more than you. And Imam Ali said, no, my brother Rasulullah loves me more than you. Not in a way of argument and fighting, humor. And how you know it? Because they're smiling about it. And it's been said that once Prophet came and they were talking to each other, and Prophet came and they stopped talking. They were quiet and they smiled. And Prophet said, why did you stop talking? You saw me and you smiled. What was the story? And they said this. Said, no, we were debating that who do you love the most? Hazrat Fatima said, I told Ali alayhi salam, I told Ali that you love me more. And the answer of the Prophet is even better, because sometimes people ask us to be the judge, right? Always ask us, who is the better friend? Who's the best friend? Who's the better child? Do you love your mom or dad more, right? And the right answer is always, without hesitation, mom, right? It doesn't make any difference. But at that moment, Imam Ali and Hazrat Fatima, it's a moment of humor. They have that joy, they have that smile. And Prophet, he is Aziz, and I love you the more. Just saying the same thing in some unique way, in its own way, to say, okay, I love you both in your own way. Religion is supposed to produce result. Religion is supposed to produce result. Means if I'm religious, I should see result. I can't say that the result of religion is always affliction, difficulty, problems, extreme adversities. It's not the case. Life of this dunya, it comes with difficulty. We cannot change that. But religion is supposed to produce results, not absolute heaven comfortable life. So I give you an example. You study for a test. If you study hard and you do it right, it doesn't mean you will not have a sleepless night. It means you will. It doesn't mean that you will have the time to spend time with your friends and hang out with them. No, it doesn't. You have to stop to focus. So there are going to be difficulty with that. But at the end, if you do it right, there should be result. You should get a good result. If you didn't get the result, you didn't study right. You didn't know how to do it right. You didn't for the right subject. You made a mistake in the process. You were stressed at the time of the test. There's some flaw in the process that you didn't get the result. A proper faith and religion is supposed to produce result. And that is the individual question. I'm not saying, let me see why my wife doesn't get the results she wants. No, we don't know. I know about my own life. So that is the reason Prophet said, self-examine yourself. Ask yourself that question. What was the result of the religion and the faith that you have? But unfortunately, as a human being, it's always easier to examine other people's, right? Why they're so bad, why others are like this, why others are like this. Always have that question. So that is the number one point of this speech. Religion is supposed to provide results. What are the results we should look for? That has been said by Imam Ali alayhi salam. Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam said that Bunya al-Islam ala arba. The result of the religion comes based on 4 elements. I'm going to list them and I leave you to think about them. 4 structure of the faith. These are the pillars that if you want to have a house, you have to have these 4. If you want to have the religion Islam, these 4 are the main one. And if you're not getting these results, these main frames, there's just probably a mirage. You're looking at something, but it's not there. It's the design. It's like, you have a good blueprint. Quran is there. You believe you. When it comes to blueprint, every one of us, we're good. We're good architectures of Islam, right? We should be honest with each other. We should be hardworking. We should be respectful of one another. We should not be nosy. Everybody have the blueprint, right? When it comes to actually doing it, it's literally like some contractors, right? You show them the blueprint, and at the end, what they make, you look at, what is this? And that happened in faith as well. What are the 4? Number 1, al-yaqeen, certainty. Faith is supposed to create certainty. That you understand your guide, Sirat al-Mustaqim, right? What is the meaning of a straight path? Straight path means that you see the goal, you see the direction, you're not confused. That is a straight path. And you ask God for that. I want Sirat I don't want to be confused constantly. There are moments it's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be the result of religion that I find some form of certainty. I know how to live. I have a discipline, I have moral code, I have values to stand by. That's my certainty. It's not that, oh, my moral codes are relative. Today it's good, tomorrow is not good. I don't know, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I'm not saying to be stubborn. Again, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Faith is not saying to be stubborn, oh, it's only my way, it never changes. No. But when something is right, you have those standard value. Honesty is honesty. You cannot change it. You cannot be relative about it. That's something you cannot negotiate. As Imam Baqir said, right? When it comes to fulfilling your promise, when it comes to people, returning people's trust, there is no exception if you're dealing with a corrupt person or if you're dealing with an honest person. Make no difference. There is no exception. When it comes to your parents, doesn't matter if you're believers, non-believers, good people, bad people, to be kind to them, it's there. There's no exception. That's the structure. That is the moral code. And Bible said it, and Torah said it, and Quran said it. That's a moral code. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, honor your parents. Those moral codes come from religion. Stand by them. So number 1 result of religion, Imam Ali said, yaqeen, certainty. Number 2, Imam Ali salam said, sabr, patience. You have to acquire patience from religion. If being religious make you more judgmental, impatient, jumpy, you did not get the point of it. It's supposed to produce results of patience. That the person who is not religious, now they're religious, they're more patient. Before, if somebody would curse them, they would curse back. Now they don't. Now it should be the minimum. Before they were quickly, as I said, they were rushed to do everything. You see even in their walk, the way they walk, you can see that it affected the way they walk. You see that sense of composure in their personality. Sabr. That's the result of religion, patience. Number 3, jihad, struggle. Result of religion is jihad. You're supposed to struggle. If being religious make you a lazy person, you did not get the religion. If religion, since I'm religious, I eat more, I sleep more, I do everything, I just let everything go. Oh, I believe in God. God is taking care of everything. you did not get anything of that religion. Because Islam is a religion that said, no, don't sleep after morning prayers if you can. Go and seek your rizq and sustenance out there. Help people in the process that you're gaining your own money. Do it right. Don't harm others in the process of making it, but still you have to struggle. Go. Imam Baghr is sweating in the middle of the day, in the middle of a farm. Some Sufi-like, pseudo-Sufi passing by making fun of him. Oh, what would you say to God if you die right now, that you're looking for dunya, you're collecting materialism and all that? And Imam Baghr said, if I die right now and if I meet my God right now, I will meet him in the process, in the act of worship. Because I'm doing this in order to be needless from people, to stand on my own feet and help other people, to don't be a burden on society and help the society myself. And Allah loves such person. And if I die, I will be an honored and proud man to die like this. But it means that at that time people thought that religion is supposed to provide an opposite result, which means go stay in a mosque, don't do anything. And those who actually don't come and don't pray at all and they work for the money all the time, they didn't get it right either. It's extremism in their own ways, right? The balance is the difficult part. Fatima Zahra, how many times we heard how Tasbihat Hazrat Fatima was taught to Hazrat Fatima? What is the story behind her? What is it? She was working hard. Literally her hand was bruised out of working in the house, difficult, taking care of children, all that. Ali ibn Abi Talib is, working outside. And then we have that in the process of dealing with all this difficulty, Prophet came to her and said, Ya Fatima, do you want help? We can find somebody to help you with this. Or do you want me to teach you something that will grant you a level of iman and a level of strength that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the amount of it. And of course we know which choice Hazrat Fatima picked. Same way Ali ibn Abi Talib, when he was offered similar position, similar dilemmas and choices, he chose, of course, the wisdom part. So Hazrat Fatima said, teach me that. And then Rasulullah told her, recite 34 times Allahu Akbar, 33 times Alhamdulillah, 33 times Subhanallah, after every wajib and daily prayer, and that will be an amount of reward. In some sort of tradition said a 1,000 unit of prayers. By the way, even Ahlul Sunnah, they believe in Tasbih Hazrat Fatima. In the resources of Ahlul Sunnah, they have called Tasbih Fatima. And even in their tradition, they say it's good to be recited before sleep. In our tradition, focus to be recited after daily prayers. That is the struggle of Fatima. That's a jihad of Fatima. So that is the third result of Iman supposed to produce, jihad. Make me a hard worker. Focused hard worker. Not to just waste my energy to do everything. Because we run for so many things that are useless, pointless. But there should be a struggle. And the last one, al-adl, justice. Religion is supposed to provide a result of justice. In your personal life, it's supposed to produce some form of justice, and in the society, it's supposed to produce justice. That's the reason Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam is spent all that years fighting against Muawiyah, fighting with Khawarij, fighting with Jamal, with Talha and Zubair, to establish justice. That was ignored for 25 years. Discrimination against Arab and non-Arab, he fought to reverse that discrimination. And these are just the tip of the iceberg. Read about it. And these four themes, look for every story of the life of the Ahlul Bayt. Tell me in which one of their lives you cannot see any of these four. Hazrat Fatima, do you see these four? Ali ibn Abi Talib, do you see these four? Malik Ashtar, do you see these four? The scholars that we have, Ayatollah Bahja, Ayatollah Sanzada Amuli, do you see these four? Do they have justice with their family? Are they strugglers, hard workers themselves? Do they have that certainty you can see in their mind, in their attitude, in their words? You can see that certainty, that calm, that assurance. When they talk to you, you get that sense of assurance. Some people, they talk and you're already hesitated, you're already doubtful, and they make you more confused. But some, you listen to them and with their words come that assurance. Do we see those? If the answer is yes, they got the result of the religion. And the life of Fatima Zahra has to have that lesson for all of us. These four. I'm going to add one more, and inshallah finish. It will not be a few minutes. It will be probably, I will say, maximum I finish the entire speech in 10 minutes, with the condition that if you don't fall asleep with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. But if you fell asleep, don't worry. I understand you're tired. I understand, totally understand. The fifth one, going back to my introduction regarding philosophy, it is important to know the reasons. There is a sermon by Hazrat Fatima that she came to the mosque of the Prophet after Prophet passed away. She came to Masjid Al-Nabi and she gave that khutbah, that sermon. Part of that khutbah is about she demanding her right and questioning why Muslims treated her the way they did after the Prophet. One part is about the philosophy of rituals and practices of Islam. For example, what is the reason for zakat? What is the reason for hajj? What is the reason for every one of them? One that is the topic, the number 5 of the list that I want to make, is the number 5 lesson to gain from Hazrat Fatima, salamullah alayha, recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, is regarding the philosophy of prayers, philosophy of salat, namaz. And then she has one short sentence to the point. Said the reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obligated you to pray and us to pray is tanzihan anil kibr. Tanzih means purifying, removing. Kibr means arrogance. The purpose of prayers is making us humble, to remove kibr. So, and Prophet said, as-salatu amududdin, right? One of the pillars of our religion is salat, is daily prayers. So adding to those 4, this is from a different, those 4 are the result. This is the process, which is salat. We do it 5 times a day. Every other practice, we do it once in our lifetime, hajj, once every year, sawm, khums once a year, right? Zakat, whenever is qualified. All the other wajibat, we look at the season, we look at the time. One is that is all the time there with us is salat, is daily prayers. No exception from it until we go unconscious or die. Inshallah, after years of blessed life. And the point of that is supposed to produce humility. Is the word of Hazrat Fatima a reflection of Quran? You bet. وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ وَإِنَّا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. Same word of Hazrat Fatima is a reflection of the word of Quran. Allah said in Quran that invoke assistance, support from 2 things in your life: salat, prayers, and patience. وَإِنَّا لَكَبِيرَةٌ. Indeed, they are considered significant, heavy, somehow not doable, إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ, except for those who are humble. If you're humble, if you're, again, as I said, you're khashir, you're soft-hearted, you recognize this as the position of Allah in yourself, you're not arrogant, it will be easy for you to pray. So the point of prayers was to make you humble, and in order to do prayers you have to be humble. And that is the most destructive force that exists in the universe: arrogance. And why I say that, in modern day talk, right? One of the things you hear a lot in social media is about what? Dialogue. Let's talk. Let's listen to each other. Let's be respectful of each other. Don't interrupt each other. Let each other, say our opinion. Let us share what we have in our mind. And the reason that doesn't happen, number one, biggest reason, is because of arrogance. We don't dialogue because I think I know better. When you use the word I know better, you don't let people finish what they want to say, or you don't even listen to them. You don't even listen to them. Forget about what's their point. I don't know. I know better. And that is the reason it stops so many discussions that's supposed to happen. Within the family, by the way, sometimes we don't listen to our children because of arrogance. Oh, you're a child. Who let you talk? Who let you talk? You're a child. And the guy is, by the way, is 20 years old. You're a child. Of course, to dear, kind parents, children are children regardless. That's the reason Islam always said you have to be respectful. You have to honor them. But from the other perspective, from the other side, to parents, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you have to be mindful of your children. Rasulullah said, treat your children after a certain age, after they pass adolescence, when they are entering the age of youth, treat them like advisors. And what is the meaning of an advisor? How you can be advisor if you don't talk to your advisor? Is that even possible? You have an advisor that you didn't even talk to them. So wazir, advisor. And it's been said, but arrogance stops us sometimes. And also even children don't listen to parents because of arrogance. This has been recorded, so it's helpful for the audience who will listen to this later. But for every one of us, I've seen this among some individuals, that they consider themselves more knowledgeable, better in some form and way, better than parents, because they were born in this country. Because we're born. Or because we're younger. Ageism and we see the same youth work always, and they rightfully complain about sexism that exists in our community, right? They complain about discrimination. They talk about all these different social issues that we have. When it comes to ageism, they are the one that they're committing it themselves. So yeah, these uncles and aunties, they have to let us do our own thing. They have to, go slowly, go to the side, give us the center. We're going to do everything. What is ageism? What is the definition of it? What's the difference between this and when it comes to corporation who fire their older workers and they hire younger forces to be part of their workforce, right? But that arrogance is there because I have no accent, because I was born here, because I went to college, because I have a fancy degree. It means that I have the right to interrupt my mom. I have the right to interrupt my dad. And I use this example, especially some of the parents who are a bit older. Probably they say things that they're not fact-based. They heard something out there, right? Oh, I heard that it's good for you to eat this, for example, right? And you read an article that is a myth, that is not true. And you can approach it in so many ways. One is that, yeah, it's interesting. But I read something different. If you'd like, I can tell you about it. Or, you don't know what you're talking about. You're going to embarrass me. Don't say that in front of people. They think you're ignorant. Don't embarrass me in front of them. They were saying that. And I've heard people say it. When we were children, we used to say the most ignorant thing, and they would say, wow, look at my little Picasso, right? What he drew or what she drew. Make a big deal about everything we do. And now is the time for them that probably because of the potential and because of some of the list responsibilities we have, we know about things, we know some pop culture, we know some matters that are easily accessible to us. We let ourselves consider ourselves dominant. Humility, by the way, definition is that when you can be arrogant, you choose to be humble. That is the true meaning of humility. If I have no choice, sometimes I'm humble because there's no choice. When somebody else is more knowledgeable and I'm sitting and listening, that is not a really honorable place to be humble. You have no choice. What are you going to say? But if you know that you know better, sometimes that you know that, for example, you have the right answer sometimes, right? And you choose to be humble. Don't show that arrogance, that probably boasting process of, showing that you're try to prove that yourself. No, there's no need for me to prove anything. That is the actual test. Sheikh Abbas Qumi is the author of so many books. You heard this story before, please forgive me if not. I think there's a lesson in this story. Sheikh Abbas Qumi is a contemporary scholar. Mafatihul Janan was collected by him. It's one of his accomplishments. He has Muntah al-Amal, which is the biography and the life of the 14 Infallibles. There's some other books. He's a famous, well-known author. And we have that because he was a researcher, he didn't have a chance to go and give lectures and be in front of the public and give mimbar and all that. So his dad was not a scholar. So we have that one day his dad came home and Sheikh Abbas was there to visit and said, my son Abbas, I wish that you would done something better with your life, in the way that you become a sheikh. I said, what do you mean that? So, I went to Imam Raza Ziyara, and there's this Imam, this sheikh who's leading the prayer, and after prayer he give a lecture, reads a book, and all these people listen and they benefit, and I wish you were that helpful, that you could be in that position that people benefit from you more. And that Imam, by the way, is reading the book of Sheikh Abbas Qumi. So he opens the book, just read the book that he wrote it. This is a place that you have the advantage, right? You have that advantage to say, oh, that's not true. That is, that guy, he knows nothing. I did the actual work. And all he said was, Dad, pray for your son that he could be helpful. Pray for him that he could, gain some wisdom and some knowledge in order to help others. These are just few examples of so many scholars that we had. Because their examples were Fatima Zahra. Their example were awliya Allah, that when they fed poor people, they said, إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. We feed you for the sake of Allah. Not because of people's complimenting us and we feel better about ourselves. No, we do it for the sake of Allah. We don't have any expectation. We don't want reward. We don't want thank you. We don't want appreciation. We do it for different reasons. So the purpose of salat is destroying arrogance. How to destroy arrogance? Inshallah, we'll leave that for next week. There are simple ways. Prophet said, if somebody have the smallest amount of arrogance, mithqala dharra, smallest amount of arrogance, lam yadkhulil jannah, they will not be able to enter heaven. They cannot get that salvation. And look at the shaitan. What happened to shaitan? As Quran said, innal insana tagha ar-ra'ahu istaghna. We start committing sins. We start becoming lazy with our prayers. We start, neglecting our wajibat and the lines that are being defined for us, we were guided to, when we consider we know better. I don't need God to tell me how to live. I know it. That is the moment that we start to rebel. And as we get older, I disagree that people, and it is true that people as they get older, some people it's easier for them to change and to return to their faith. And people say, oh, because when they were younger, they did whatever they wanted, and now they get old, there's nothing else to do, they come to religion. That's not true about every case. The reality is that sometimes as we get older, we start seeing our weaknesses. That arrogance by force start to being stripped away. That's the reason is that the true iman is if you're young to be mu'min. Because when you're young, you have all the resources, you have a healthy body, you have the strength, you have the good memory, you have the intelligence, you have all those. But as you get older, you see that you're not the center of the universe. The beauty is not there with you. right? You start forgetting things. You start coming back to that humility, but it's not a choice in some cases. It's too late. The surrounding, the dunya is forcing you to become humble. The age make you humble. And if it's not your choice, there's not that much value for it. Listen, inshallah, as long as we're healthy, as long as we're young, as long as we have these so many blessings around us, be humble toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and use the prayer as we bow down, as we prostrate before God. Remember that we came from nothing. And God did not owe us anything to create us. So when we pray Allah with that, we will be less, that in that sense of that God owes us something, and the way we pray will be different. Our attitude in our prayer will be different. Because when Allah is not in our debt. Oh, listen to me, give me this. I need this. Why are you not listening to me? Because we know that we have everything is from Him. And to be that disrespectful, unappreciative, unthankful, to demand more with that tone, it will definitely affect the way we pray. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to acquire these 4 blessings of the religion, and especially the benefit of the true prayers and salat, inshallah. For the honor of Hazrat Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha, her family, her children, and her father Rasulullah, recite the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.